quicker response times from fire trucks and first responders when every minute counts.
President Biden talking about first responders during his speech at Earth Rider Brewery yesterday when addressing the Blatnick Bridge reconstruction investment. He then paid a visit to some of those firefighters in Superior who often use the bridge. Northern News Now's Jack Wiedner checked in with the Superior Fire Department to learn more about their conversations with the president.
Last week, the Superior Fire Department received advance notice of the president's Twin Ports visit, but less than 24 hours before Air Force One touched down, the chief learned that the president planned to stop by his station as well.
The crews were busy making sure everything was cleaned up and looking presentable, and then making sure that we had a safe area.
Chief Cameron Volbrecht was there to welcome Biden and says it was a valuable opportunity for SFD.
A lot of people get to shake his hand. We got to spend a half hour in here having some real, honest, human discussion with him.
The Blatnick Bridge was a major talking point during Biden's speech. He called out first responders in particular.
This investment is going to make a huge difference. Less traffic, fewer car accidents, faster commutes to your jobs and schools, quicker response times from fire trucks and first responders.
Biden talked to Superior Fire about their views on the project. The chief says a new bridge will be safer not only for the public, but for first responders as well.
So having a wider, more modern bridge with wider shoulders, as well as a walking path to get there, to get people out of there, is going to be beneficial in the safety factor for our firefighters.
However, construction will require the Blatnick to shut down for up to 5 years. In that time, the Bong Bridge will be the sole means of transportation between Duluth and Superior. According to the president of the Superior Firefighters Union, increased coordination with Duluth first responders will be essential.
We are very strong proponents of working with our brothers and sisters on the other side of the bridge. It'll come with a little bit of hardships, but in the end, it sounds like the overall flow patterns for traffic will be much better for the city, so we're excited.
In Superior, Jack Wiedner, Northern News Now.
Jack, thank you. Now, the Duluth and Superior Fire Departments have a mutual aid agreement that allows them to help each other out. Chief Volbrecht says that they will lean on that relationship once construction begins.